Hello everyone and welcome back to the Man's Bar. Tonight we're going to review a brand new, well semi-brand new, Canadian rye. And I'll show you the bottle right after this. And we're back from the intro. Now if you like tonight's video, I hope you hit the like button, and if you like my channel, I really hope you hit the subscribe button. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, you too can get updates when the Man's Kitchen and the Man's Bar posts cool pictures and behind-the-scenes content. Now that that housekeeping's out of the way, I'm going to introduce you to tonight's whiskey. We have Canadian Club Chairman Select 100% Rye. Now, for those of you south of the border in the US, it's only Canadian Club 100% Rye. I guess their chairman only cares enough to pick the rye for Canadians. Now, recently I did a review for this for www.ryesupply.com, and I'll leave a link to their website down below in the description. Now, in that written review, I just did a standard review where I covered the appearance, the nose, the taste, and a little conclusion where I gave it an 8 out of 10. I sat around the couch one night watching TV. I drank it straight up on the rocks, and then I also did that trick where you take a little drop of water, pop it in, and the flavor completely changes. If you've never done that, just pour some whiskey in a glass, put a drop of water in it, and it breaks the emulsification of the oils, and it causes a completely different flavor to come out. After I did that with this, I could have swore I was drinking straight butterscotch. But tonight, we're going to go through the gambit of normal tests we do. I'm going to drink this on the rocks for you, I'm going to mix it up with some Coke, and then we'll make a cocktail, and we'll score it all three ways. Alright, I have myself a portion of it poured into this glass on the rocks. When I go in for that smell, I'm getting a bit of straw and vanilla. Now let's go in for a taste. A little straw, some vanilla on the taste too, and a bit of butterscotch. And remember, like I said before, when I had it with no ice and just dropped the water and it exploded into a rich butterscotch. Just sitting on the rocks, it does have a bit of butterscotch flavor. And the alcohol presence isn't very prevalent. I don't get a harsh burn on the back of my throat. I just get a little warmth back there, so I know I'm drinking something that has an alcohol content. Now let's move along to our next pour. Alright, I have myself a rye and Coke poured up, and remember, when you're making a pop mixer drink, the proper ratio is 1 part alcohol to 3 parts pop. Going in for the smell, the pop is kind of muted. I get you smell the Coke, but it's muted. It's like it's dialed down to 50%. It has a very rich and sweet flavor like this. I actually haven't had any of this casually yet to drink. I've only done the tasting. This is delicious. I could sit here all night drinking Canadian Club 100% Rye as a pop mixer. I think this might be my new go-to pop rye. The flavors of the Canadian Club are really amplifying the sweetness and the caramel notes of the Coca-Cola, and it's making this, I don't know how to describe to you other than to say this is delicious. And I'm going to move along to the cocktail portion of this review before I get carried away and I get a little too tipsy to make a good review. Alright, I just made myself up a Manhattan, and as we all know, a classic Manhattan is a rye cocktail. You can substitute bourbon, but a real Manhattan is rye. And this is going to be the most real Manhattan I reviewed so far because this is the only rye that I've used that is 100% rye. Anything else I've used has been a variation or a cut with something else. This is the only one that's actually straight up rye. So this is going to be the most purest and formest version of a Manhattan. On the nose, the bitters are coming forward on the nose. I smell the bitters and the vermouth. I'm not really picking much of the rye. Oh, that's good. So the vermouth, the sweet vermouth that we're using is sitting right about the middle of my palate. It's not exploding huge where it's all vermouth like some of the other whiskeys have been in the past, and it's not completely drowned out by the whiskey. I would say that the vermouth is right where it should be in the middle. I know it's there. It's kind of like the icing on the cake. The bitters, they're playing a back roll here. They're not too far forward, they're not too far back. The Canadian Club 100% Rye is doing a good job as the base. This is doing a great job as a cake, if you will. Follow the analogy here. It's very, as a cake, I would say this is a very sweet cake. It's not too sweet, it's very moist. It's the perfect balance of cake, and that's what we got here. The sweet vermouth is acting as, say, the icing, and the bitters would be maybe, I don't know, sprinkles on it. And everything fits. It fits perfectly. This is by far, and I'm not trying to be biased because it's a Canadian product, but this is by far the best Manhattan I've tried. And I have a feeling that if I try some other 100% ryes from the US, I'll end up with the same results. Something that just tastes divine. Also, I get no alcohol burn near the back of my throat. This is going down smooth, almost as smooth as water, but with flavor. So let's move off to the scorecard next and see how it all tallies up. Okay, we're not actually going to the scorecard right now. We are going back to our first pour on the rocks. Now that it's had about 5 or 6 minutes to open up, let's see if the flavor's changed any, if it's matured, if it's developed, or if the ice has melted and turned it into just watery down whiskey. Yeah, the nose has opened up a bit. Going in for the smell now that it's opened, I'm smelling more vanilla and toffee flavors. The straws actually disappeared. A little bit of earthiness and its flavors opened up. Kind of like a mushroomy kind of flavor on the back of my palate. At the front, it's still got that vanilla taste, but at the back, it's more like mushrooms. All right, now that we've hit this in all 3 of our regular tastings, plus another tasting after it's opened, now we're going to go to the scorecard. All right, now we have our scorecard, and you'll see that the Canadian Club 100% Rye is our #1 rye overall. A overall score of 8.16 out of 10. And it's funny to note that regular Canadian Club is our worst rye overall with a score of 5.8. Now you'll see that Canadian Club 100% Rye tied for first place in the On the Rocks category with a score of 7.5 out of 10. It tied Woodford Reserve and Maker's Mark. It is the only whiskey to get a 9 out of 10 as a pop mixer, and it tied Chevec as an 8 out of 10 in a cocktail. Now remember, Chevec was a Scotch, so the cocktail is called a Rob Roy when you make a Manhattan using Scotch. So that is the scorecard for this week's video. Alright, there you have it. You just saw the scorecard, and you just saw how this stacked up against all the other whiskeys that we reviewed so far here in the Man's Kitchen. or I should say the man's bar, which is actually underneath the man's kitchen, so it's easy to get the two of those locations mixed up. Now again, I will leave a link in the description to www.reiskisample.com. Or is it Reiski Supply? You know, it doesn't matter what it is, the description in the bottom will be right. And there will be a link to the written review that I did on the bottle here. As far as tonight's video review, you all know what I thought about it off the scorecard. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'll see you next time in the man's bar.